If you struggle growing an audience around your side hustle, or maybe you need some help boosting your engagement across all your social platforms, then today's episode with my homie, Tom Ross, CEO of Design Cuts, was made for you. Stay tuned. The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, my guests and I provide the skills for thinking bigger, overcoming adversity, and making an impact with your work. What's going on? You're listening to episode 119 of the Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Scotty.D.Russell of Perspective Collective, and I'm here to help you build a killer side hustle and elevate your brand outside your day job. And at the end of each episode, I plug a listener of the week, so stick around to figure out how you can get a shout out in a future episode, in the show notes, as well as in the newsletter. So for me, I take a lot of pride in building my brand and my reputation around serving others, most specifically creatives like you. And I really vibe and attracted to other people who approach life this way as well as their creative business. And that's why I'm so stoked to have on Tom Ross today, as he probably serves people on a completely different level than I do. And it's super inspiring. So again, Tom Ross is the CEO of Design Cuts. He's the co-host of the Honest Designers podcast. And he's also the non-bullshit, no sugar-coated content creator of the Honest Entrepreneur Show. And we're going to talk about all that later, but more specifically, he's an expert in the online marketing world in terms of email building, email list building, website strategy, brand messaging, and growing an audience and boosting that engagement. And currently, Tom is actually consulting me as I distill my message, I niche down, and I build my brand not only in 2019, but moving onward. So get your note-taking utensils ready, because Tom's about to take you to school. We're covering all types of topics like taking the sleaziness out of your marketing yourself, your products, and your services, how to grow an online loyal tribe by listening and serving, the power of authenticity and treating people like they're more than numbers, because they are, and holistic tips and clutch hacks for boosting your engagement. And this episode will no doubt position you to take your brand and your side hustle to the next level immediately as well as into the future. So also stick around. He's doing something crazy. He's offering you free consulting tips if you follow his instructions he'll be giving you later in the video. And you can find the show notes to this episode at perspective-collective.com/119 and spread the good word. Do what you do. Help these ideas and this knowledge and good vibes spread. Take a screenshot of what episode you're listening to, or take a video of you grinding to this episode in the background. Tag me and Tom on Instagram stories so we can connect. I can reshare the love. I would love to see you do that. And as always, keep an open mind and act on anything that inspires you today. Let's go. PC family, good morning, wherever you are, or good afternoon if you're in Tom's world. I'm chopping it up with my new BFF, Tom Ross. Welcome to the Perspective Podcast, brother. How you doing today?
I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be here. Out of any podcast, this is goals for me to chat with you on this. So
yeah. All right. Chalk that one off the bucket list real quick. And hopefully maybe sure. I can be on the other one someday. But
it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
Perfect. Asking you shall receive, people. I want to jump right into the meat of conversation because I want to respect your time, because you're big dog CEO of Design Cuts. But for those who don't know, can we get a brief Wikipedia page summary about yourself, and let's talk about how Design Cuts was built and what it even is?
Yeah, how far back do you want to go, man?
Have you always been in the service world? Have you always had a connection to creativity? Or what led you to Design Cuts?
Yeah, man. So
we're the same age. People, we're 30. All right. So
yeah, I know I look much older because I've been ravaged by the sands of time, people, but I haven't got this beautiful visage that Scotty's rocking. But yeah, man, I started when I was about 12 years old. So I was pretty young. And my best buddy at the time, American guy called Nick, sat down with me and he right-clicked on a web page and hit view source, and it spat out all the HTML code. And that was the start of it all, man. Because I was like, holy crap, it was like the first time I saw the Matrix. And I was like, you mean build these things? They don't just exist. And so we just started building websites from there. And so from age 12, I pretty much learned design and marketing and entrepreneurship in tandem. So I've always learned both. I've always been fascinated with both. And I love the marriage of the two things.
For sure.
So that was it, man. I mean, like early days, we were just like messing around, making websites for the fun of it. Then we start making a bit of money from it. I start doing some design contests. I start freelancing, have like a decade-long freelancing career doing web design and all kinds of things. Start blogging, have a Photoshop blog that gets a few million visitors on it and think I've kind of cracked it. But then I work out, I was focusing on some of the wrong things. So I've got all these various projects, got like some book projects, all kinds of stuff going on over the years. It's just trial and error and learning and screwing up and immersing myself in it. I mean, I think I talked about this on my show about the tens of thousands of hours of like clicking the pen tool in Photoshop, the late nights where it's just you and the monitor in the dark, like learning your craft just because you're such a geek with it that you just care about it so much. And same thing with marketing. So all of this stuff, I was just a sponge for years and years and years. And all these various projects eventually led me to do design cuts, which I guess makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's creative as hell. We work with the best designers in the world. We create these amazing products, but we help them with their marketing and distribution. So we're kind of there for the people that love making amazing products, but don't necessarily love the marketing side, or they need some help getting it out to more people. So we help them with that. And then we got this community of about 500,000 people now who just love this stuff as much as we do. They geek out over like
killer community.
I love our community. So do you though, man.
Community is everything. I'm learning, like just having that tribe when you don't even know that you have it and you're building it. It's a magical thing, especially when you realize like, holy shit, like I have something here.
Mm-hmm. And it's a rare thing as well, because most people don't allocate effort into actually caring about people enough to get people to care back about them. But like I say, I love your community. I love your Facebook group. Super, super nice bunch of people in there, and it keeps you motivated, right? Because this shit is hard. Like whether you're freelancing or you're a creative entrepreneur, whatever it might be, you hit some stumbling blocks, you have self-doubt, you burn out, like all of this kind of stuff. And one of the best ways to keep you going is if you've got that circle of like peers and supporters and audience around you championing you, then it's like, that stuff is gold.
And we're not talking about cult here of people worshiping. We're just talking about like-minded people all on the same wavelength, because you're probably like me. Sometimes encouragers need encouragement. And some days I have a dark ass day and then I'll have someone hit me up in the group or hit me up about the podcast, and it like just keeps me going again.
Yeah, man. Like, as you know, my whole brand is like the honest designer, the honest entrepreneur, because I love being super candid and transparent and kind of bearing all, even the insecurities and that kind of thing. And I loved art at school, right? Because I'm a creative guy. So I was obsessed with art, but I was definitely the guy who needed the teacher to come up and be like, great job. And I need that affirmation.
Yeah,
I really need it. And I'm happy to admit that. Like, I wish I could be the guy who's like, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. Like, here's my work and I believe in it.
Have you ever heard of the 5 love languages?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay. We learned about it in like getting ready for marriage and all that stuff, our marriage classes, but it applies to like everyone in the world. There's like 5 love languages of what make us feel loved or needed or wanted. And mine is words of affirmation, which means like exactly what you said. Like, that's my love language. Like, I need to be told I'm doing a good job to keep me motivated to keep doing a good job. Some people don't need that. Other people are like, buy me gifts or other things like that. But no, I'm right there with you. Exactly what I am.
And it kind of goes on steroids, right? So it's all well and good when you've got like one art teacher or your partner supporting what you're doing. But when you've got a bunch of strangers supporting it online and that thing's kind of growing, it's like that becomes what you live and die by a little bit. And that's a double-edged sword, because I love it and it's incredible. But then equally, you're like, oh, only 10 people today said they love what I put out instead of the usual 50.
It's that vanity metrics on Instagram too. Man, I got 100 likes on this one, but man, I got 1,000 on this one. So that means this 100 like one sucks. I'm like, no, there's a lot of factors that can go into it.
100%. And I'm the guy who preaches against vanity metrics. So it's like, it doesn't necessarily matter how many followers you have, how many likes you get, because a lot of that stuff's inflated and it's quality over quantity. So I tend to focus more on engagement and helping people on like those real connections, right? The tangible stuff, not all the spammy stuff out there, like the real difference you're making in people's lives. And I'd love to say that lets you sidestep the landmine of being caught up in this hamster wheel of affirmation, but it doesn't. It's just another metric to chase. Because if one day you're like, I feel like I've helped those 10 people, and the next day it's like crickets, you still feel like a piece of crap. Yeah.
I want to get into engagement in a little bit too, because you put out a killer a short little episode on your Honest Entrepreneur Show. We'll also plug about how to increase your engagement online, so we can talk about what engagement is and how to increase it. But what's really connected me with you instantly, like seriously, we just linked up in like January.
Yeah, like to the point, my girlfriend's getting jealous of this connection.
And shout out to my executive assistant, Paige, Garland, because she's been pushing to get me on your show. And then I've had like Diane and other people like plugging me, Michael Fuchs, and we've linked up and clicked right at the beginning. But what really, really, really draws me to you is that you have this serving people first mentality, along like what you said, this unapologetic zero BS approach. Oh my God, that's really hard to say. Unapologetic, zero BS approach. Why are you, I know. Why are you so passionate about serving people? And have you always had this non-bullshit, sugar-coated filter? Have you always been this way? I haven't been. It's kind of like I've started switch flipped them for the last couple of years.
Yeah. So to answer that, I need to go back in time a bit, because I think I inherently have been like that, and that's because I like to think, I'm a real nice guy, and I think part of it is like the affirmation as well. Like I'm inherently a bit of a people pleaser.
Same.
Right.
I've always had that people pleasing mentality, but not this non-bullshit filter.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've always had the people pleasing thing, and I want to, honestly, my girlfriend gets wound up about this, because I'm like constantly trying to like make everyone happy around me.
Sound like my wife.
Spin all the plates. Yeah.
I know exactly.
And sometimes she's like, you just have to chill. And rather than like calming down with that, I exacerbate it by doing the same thing at scale. So it's like now I have like, 500,000 people where I'm trying to keep them all happy at one time. But that's a whole other story. So anyway, like I've always had that in me. But what I did was I would start exercising that in my online ventures. I'd do that with my design clients. I'd really trying to over deliver. But then I wasn't like that successful back then, right? So I started thinking, oh, maybe just being this nice guy and people pleasing and stuff, that's not the way to do it. And I would start Googling, like, how do I market myself as a creative? How do I do internet marketing? And what came back was like Sleaze City, right? All the marketing hacks, all the stuff that creatives regard marketing as, all this dark arts kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The slimy stuff. So that's what came back. And a lot of that stuff works. And actually, when you use it in the right way, it's incredibly effective and fun and cool and positive. But I think it's when you only focus on that, when you're only trying to chase like the follow account, and when you're reducing your audience and your community.
You're looking to take instead of give.
Exactly. And so I was consuming a lot of that content, and I never behaved like a complete douche, I hope. But what it did is it just kind of threw me off course, and I started learning that stuff and like trying to use it, but not use it in a totally sleazy way. Yeah, I mean, like I say, the main thing is reducing people to numbers. So I'll give you a great example. So I started my Photoshop blog, and this was around the time I was searching, how do I do marketing well? And everyone's saying it's all about the traffic. You got to attract traffic, because if you get traffic, then that's success. And so all of my actions were then predicated on that thesis, and everything I did was to attract traffic. And so in my first month of doing this blog, I had 100,000 visitors like that. And then before I knew it, I was getting 250,000 visitors a month. So this adds up to a lot of people. And I thought, this is great. I've made it. I've done what they told me. I'm getting all this traffic. This rocks. It was only when I kind of got a bit more experience and I really dug into the stats, I was like, well, I'm getting like a lot of people from places I stumbled upon who stop by my site for a second and then bounce. And my bounce rates are horrible. And the people that are on my site, I'm not really nurturing them in the right way. And I'm not building community and all the stuff I love now. And so I've just got this big, like hollow, empty number. And it's the equivalent of when people get like 100,000 followers on Instagram and they're getting like 2 spammy comments on every post, right? And you realize how irrelevant that top line vanity metric number is. And it sucks. And I can see so many people and so many creatives chasing that. And I've had people say to me, I'm going to be happy when I hit 10K or I hit 100K. And people are literally like, they've said to me, I'm considering buying my followers to get that.
And the whole follow for follow. Bullshit.
Exactly. All of that nonsense. And an analogy I often use is it's like when you get romanced by a phone company, right? So you got a smartphone, you're signing up for a contract, and they schmooze you, they treat you super well, they give you like a great deal, and you're kind of buzzing, you feel really positive, and they sign you up and you're like, yeah, like they nailed this, I feel great. And as soon as they sign you up, they immediately start to neglect you, and they start to like hike the prices up, and they treat you like a piece of shit. And it makes you feel pretty terrible, and it makes you resent them and have a terrible association with their brand, because they're over there trying to romance the next customer and neglect the ones they have. And that's what virtually all of us are doing with our social media, and to an extent with our clients. We're so obsessed with getting that next client. We're so obsessed with getting that next 1,000 followers. We forget all about the 1,000 followers we already have, because they become just a number to us. We're looking at everyone else and going, well, they have 10,000 followers, so 1,000, that sucks. But it's like, that's 1,000 real people. Imagine putting 1,000 people in a room with you. That's a big room. And that's real people who are supporting you and following your work. And you're doing them a disservice. They're giving you their time and attention and their support, and you're just ignoring them to go chase a stranger that you haven't even met yet. And the whole thing is nuts. So when you shift it into actually giving a shit about the people already supporting you, already in your audience.
You have less than 1,000 followers.
If you have 15,
take advantage of it. Serve them.
Yeah. So literally that is like one of the ways I got Design Cuts off the ground, because when I started it, I'd shed all of that like sleazy philosophy, because I rejected it, and I found some better business mentors and found some clarity. And so when I started that, I was like, I finally kind of own who I am. I know that I like treating people, in a positive way. And so from day one, that's what I did. And like you say, you don't need 1,000 followers. We started with 40 Facebook fans, right? That was it. But instead of trying to chase the next, 40 or 1,000 Facebook fans, I made those 40 people my best friend. I knew everything about them. I chatted to all of them every day. I knew about their families. I was jumping on calls one-on-one like this with them.
And you still do that, dude. You jump on so many calls. You and Diane Gibbs do it more than anybody I know.
Yeah, I mean, now it's a little bit more scalable, because we do webinars and stuff like that. But when to get Design Cuts off the ground, I worked 18 hours a day for 18 months, 7 days a week. I burnt myself hard, which I think we're going to get to later. But even through all of that, I had no time. I was doing 18 different jobs at once, doing the accounting and negotiating things and dealing with products and uploading products and doing social media graphics and community management and customer service, like all of it, man. And despite having so little time in those early months, I think I went for 2 straight months where every single day, Monday to Friday, I had a 1-hour call with a customer, one-on-one. Because I would jump on the call and I would literally be like, how can we do a better job for you? How's your experience? And I just listened and I took notes, and I got to know them. And that was one of the best things I ever could have done, because every single time I came away with at least 1 to 2 golden nuggets, as I would call them, which we could then go and implement. So it might be a feature, or it might be something that we were getting wrong that we didn't realize, or something that I'd see patterns in something that people loved. And so I do more of that. And that feedback is so much better, because that is the opposite of reducing people to numbers. Like when you kind of see some familiar names in your like count, totally different when you actually jump on a call with that person and you're like, wow, this is a real person with a real life and a family and hopes and dreams and hobbies. And you kind of you get a much better idea for how you fit into their life and how you can do it better. And I know one of my mentors, who kind of helped put me on the right course, said something I'll never forget. He said, you can either use your audience or you can serve them. And it's so simple, but it's so brilliant, because I think 99% of people are using people. And again, this completely relates to social media, clients, building an audience, whatever it might be. And I love that. To this day, I still have that front of mind in everything I do.
Who is that from? That way I can quote this properly when I use it for myself. Yeah.
Credit where credit's due. So it was Chase Reeves at Fizzle.
Reeves?
Reeves, yeah.
All right.
Chase Reeves.
That's incredible.
Yeah, like I love it. And I think it's worth kind of repeating to yourself a lot of times as a mantra, because it really doesn't sink in until you do, and until you start practicing it. But it changes everything, because do you want to be a user or do you want to be a server? And I mean, to the point, it's like, imagine you're a waiter or like a concierge in a hotel or something. It's like you're falling over yourself to serve this person. It's like they're your boss. And that is a little bit of like humble pie for some people to eat, because, they're like, I'm the hotshot creative entrepreneur or aspiring big name designer or whatever. And they don't want to do that. But as soon as you're like beholden to your audience, you will do everything for them. It's literally like, how can I improve your stay, sir? You know, like you start to slip into that mindset. And when you're constantly listening and it's like, you're just trying to provide that 5-star service all the time. And I freaking love that because you can push that very, very far.
I think it's really important what we're talking about right now, serving versus using and providing value instead of being sleazy salesmen. A lot of people I see out there are selling products, merch, goods, posting something, buy my shit, posting something, buy my shit, without even thinking, like, you're just taking. Why should anybody care?
Mm-hmm.
People care about you when you show you care about them. Like, what are some tips for people who put out products? Because you deal with people who create products. You create products, you know, you guys curate and put out products like crazy, which, you know, we still haven't gone into all that you offer for design cuts, but what are some tips to people who are selling things? How can they serve their audience and make people care about their products?
Yeah, so there's a ton of ways. I think, first of all, provide something that actually is going to be useful and valuable to them.
Especially, it's hard to sell a t-shirt and a poster, and that's what a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, it is. But also I see people killing it with that. So do you know Dina Rodriguez at Letter Shop?
Yeah.
She's doing a great job, right? She's got this unbelievable community and she's really speaking their language. So I think she's much of it
very intact with her language and the value she provides, but what she stands for with her own identity.
Yeah, I love it. Like, she's so authentic. She's in the cool gang with you, in my eyes. You know, there's a very few people that are in that gang where I'm like, you're nailing it.
I take a high recommendation from you. So Dina, I don't know if you're listening, but I'm looking into you.
Oh yeah, she's great. And she sends amazing voice notes. So I chat to her quite a lot and she'll like sing at me and do like all these crazy voices and stuff. And it'll be the Monday morning, I open it up and I'm like, damn, that's woken me up. But yeah, like her tribe, you know, she's all about like body positivity and smoking weed, and, you know, feminism and all this kind of stuff. And that's because it's her truth. And she puts it out there so authentically that it doesn't feel at all sleazy when she's selling it on a t-shirt or a print or anything like that. Quite the opposite. Her audience want to support her. They love her stuff. And I think so much of that comes down to just knowing your audience and knowing yourself.
Knowing yourself, I think, is number one for sure.
Oh, that's huge, right? And it's so much easier said than done.
Because like what you just told me, everything about her isn't for everyone, but it's for her and for the freaks that wave their freak flag along with her. You know, she's attracted a like-minded tribe. So you can't be for everyone, but you can.
Yeah, if you try to be for everyone, you're for no one, right?
Yeah.
And it's so empowering when you go.
James Victory called it, when you try to please everyone, you become oatmeal.
Yeah, or invisible. Yeah,
invisible. Ooh, I like that too.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think she's a great example. And the best way you can do it, right, is by actually listening and paying attention to your audience. What are they actually going to care about? Because it's very easy to miss the mark. Like, if her audience are like weed smoking people that are into body positivity, if she put out something that was like overtly sexist or offensive, they'd rip her to shreds, right? As much as they love her, it would be like, what the hell is this? You know, it wouldn't resonate with them at all. And same thing with you, you know, you put out stuff that your audience are going to care about. Same thing with like, did a webinar with my buddy Ian Barnard yesterday, super talented guy. When he put out like his grid builder and letter builder products, no one looked at him and thought, you sleazy salesman. They thought, oh my God, this thing is so innovative. It's so useful. Yeah. And it serves me so well that people jumped all over it, right? And so it's just understanding your audience. And the best way to do that is, for me, those one-on-one conversations. You're going to get more out of them than you do just an anonymous survey or something. And you'll get more out of an anonymous survey than you would what most people do, which I call just shouting into the void.
Yeah.
Right? So most people, it's not a two-way conversation. They never stop to listen. So they're just bellowing out into busy social media world, you know, like, I'm doing this. Look at my work, buy this, I'm selling this. It's a one-way conversation. And then they wonder why no one stops and cares. Try having 100 conversations a day with your community, getting to know everything about them, what they care about, what's going to help them, what's going to bring them value, and then start identify patterns in that. And if a bunch of your audience are like, you know, Scotty, like, in fact, you tell me what's a real common pain point with your audience?
People struggle with time outside a day job to put work into their side hustle. That's like one of the main ones. 70% of people struggle with time, money, or motivation, but generally it all revolves around time.
Great. So if you go and put a product together which solves that problem,
Which I'm currently doing.
nice. But yeah, that's case in point, right? You didn't get there by selfishly bellowing out into social media land and never listening. You got there by actually listening to your audience, by presumably asking them, just getting to know them and have conversations and pick up on these things along the way. And therefore you've taken that information and you're going to produce something which is super high quality, and you're going to put it out there and it's going to help them.
Something I care about, that I know works and brings value to people. That's what I want to do.
Exactly. And it's something you live and breathe. It's something you're an expert in. It's something you've done. Like, all of those things matter. And there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. The same way there's nothing wrong with charging for your design services or charging a client or anything like that. But there's shitty ways of doing it, and there's incredibly effective, positive ways of doing it. And I think Seth Godin, in his recent book,
This is Marketing.
It's Marketing, he talks about this a lot, right? So he talks about how marketing is essentially helping people. And at first, people might listen to that and they're like, well, that just sounds like justification to be a marketer. But it's so true. If you're a good marketer, it's like someone has a problem or a need or a want, and you help fulfill that for them.
You're providing the change people seek.
Yeah, that's what he said, right?
He says, yeah. And it's like, and it's not casting a wide net. You're trying to serve the minimum viable market, the people who it's for, like you mentioned with Dina.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I don't know if you have any like dream purchases, but like my guitar and my laptop and some of my prized possessions, you think I begrudge buying them? That's like a gift to myself. I'm like, I love this thing. I cherish it. Like, I'm so glad that got put in front of me so that I could get it, and it's going to help me.
Before we dive into how to increase your engagement online, because I think we're really setting up for that, and I think that's exactly what people want, dive in real quick. So who is Design Cuts for? Who are the people you're serving, the problems you're providing, the solutions, and the solutions you're providing with your resources?
Yeah. So broadly, it is creatives and designers. But of course, as we've grown, there's so many pockets within that. So we have agencies, we have freelancers that, are part of our community. We have digital scrapbookers. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I know what scrapbooking is. I said yes before I knew.
So digital scrapbooking is like where you're making all these collages similar to real scrapbooking, but online. So you'll be dragging and dropping like graphics and photos and making
just share them like a portfolio collage kind of thing, like on Instagram, or
yeah, like all kinds of people are doing them. But quite often it'll be like grandmothers who are doing them. Nice things to represent their family.
Shout out to the grandmas getting all digital and shit.
So, random pockets like that. We got like digital letterers and digital painters who are obsessed with Procreate brushes, like so many different people. So if you're creative, like pretty much whatever you're doing.
Everyone listen to the show. This is pretty much for you.
Yeah, like seriously. So we offer that stuff, and then how we do it ties so into my values. So I hope there's like a useful lesson there, because for me, I'm obsessed with like, how far can you push a concept, right? So I never want to be like gray. It's always like, we know there's certain principles that people like. It's like, how far can we push them? So for example, with our stuff, you can literally get it cheaper than anywhere else, because we know people want this stuff to be affordable. People we listen got frustrated about licensing and having to pay 10 times more for a commercial extended license. So we wrapped that in for free. People got tired of like having to go through 1 billion products to find the good ones because there was a flood of crap out there. So we've got like this red rope policy where we only work with the best creators and no one else. So everything's high quality. And none of that is an accident. This is like living proof of what I talked about, where it's like, we just paid attention to people's pain points and what they wanted, and then tried to push that as far as we could in terms of doing a good job for them.
So outside of like the Procreate and designer resources and fonts and textures and photos, you also have a dope community with Hangouts. How can someone get involved with that to be a part of the Design Cuts community?
Yeah, so if they head over to Design Cuts, the best place right now is in our forum where we announce this kind of stuff. But you came on and we do these weekly Hangouts, and it started like super fledgling. So I think the early ones are like 7 people, 8 people, 9 people on. Now they're like 35, 40 people and getting traction every week. So before long, it's going to be 100, 200 people. and they're awesome because we have talented people like you on every single week. We're not selling anything there, but it's like they do some
It's
Q&A.
value session. Yeah.
A value session, you know, they just hang out. They normally like demo something they're working on and like talk people through some of the techniques. Do it, yeah, like say do a bunch of Q&A around that. Just like hang out and joke around and set like a challenge. You had an awesome challenge.
Yep.
Was it like a design
Combine
and
your favorite animal with your
animal
favorite
and
food, because I'm all about like that space cat with pizza. You know, that's kind of my thing that I built on. So
I love that. And we had people doing like bunnies, like underwater with
crazy
hot
shit,
dogs or something.
you know, people were drawing some wild shit on that challenge. It was fun, and sharing it too. And then again, that's goes into the engagement, which we're going to pivot to shortly. But you know, I'll make sure to link up obviously your website for sure, Design Cuts, because I've been a fan of that for a long time, and especially the type bundles that you guys give, those font bundles. That is ridiculous. Like I got Futura along with like 30 other fonts for like $20 with an extended license. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. And normally it's like 1,800.
Yeah. So ridiculous. I'll be sure to link that and the forum up. But increasing engagement, we've been leading up to this. One, what is engagement to you? And two, can we expand on the video you put out on the Honest Entrepreneur on your YouTube channel? Can we expand on what engagement is to you and how one can increase their engagement online?
Yeah, so I think in a basic form, engagement is people engaging with your content, i.e. interacting with it in some way. So
Likes, hearts, comments, retweets, shares.
Exactly.
Saves,
all of that kind of shit, right? So that's the basic principle of it. But again, I'm always obsessed with like how deep that can go, how
that's like
far
surface level.
Yeah, that's surface level. So engagement can be all kinds of things. I view it as engagement when fans of our community and our company send us gifts in the post. And seriously, Christmas was ridiculous this year. I think we had 3 packages show up every day for most of December.
Damn, I need to work at Design Cuts.
It was like, so I've never seen so much chocolate, like just these amazing like handwritten notes of appreciation from people. And you know, we get videos from people where they're there with their families being like, you helped, you know, me with my creative career, and I'm here with my family and my cute kids to say thank you. Like all of that kind of stuff. And I'm so like, that's the stuff I care about the most, is the human side. And I know some of the designers we work with where we sell their products, we've helped put people's kids through college. We've helped people who are going to lose their house to keep their house. That's like the stuff that always lights me on fire, because you can make anything interesting, right? If you're passionate about it. We could be super boring. We could be just another place where it's like, we sell fonts and we sell Photoshop brushes. And it's like, well, so do a billion other people. But it's like, how are you going to come at it from a different angle? How are you going to make it compelling and disruptive, different and better? How are you going to have like a kick-ass community around that people can get involved in? That's the stuff that I care about more, you know?
I think that's a huge tip for engagement anyway, is what makes you different? Everybody's doing hand lettering, for example, right now, but what makes you unique? What are you offering that's different? What are you doing that's disruptive? What are you doing that's familiar, hand lettering, but in an unfamiliar way?
Yeah, I love it. Like 2 examples of that, right? We just had James Lewis on one of our weekly
Yeah, the
hangouts.
homie James. He's killing it right now. He's the prime example of doing something familiar in an unfamiliar way and cracking the code. And
yeah, so he does like the super precise, like hand painted lettering with
3D.
the 3D effect. Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
So cool. Another example, Chuck Chai, he's one of my followers. He's pivoting now. And we had a call about this. He was kind of on the fence, and I was like, go all in, man. He's now going from like the hand lettering, which looks like everyone else's, to lettering with food. And he's not the only person doing that, but like that's a way smaller niche. There's way more opportunity to stand out and like get commissions and get hired for that kind of thing.
Someone like Michael Fugoso, you know, Fugs has been on the show doing his skeuomorphic. People telling him skeuomorphic's dead, and he goes and crushes it. Now he owns this style.
Or my man Dustin Lee at Retro Supply, right?
Shout out to Dustin. We love Dustin here.
Yeah, likewise. And yeah, I just got off chatting with him last night on our podcast, and he always says like, in fact, I remember having these conversations. He'd be saying like, should I go and like follow the trends of what everyone else is doing, all this watercolor style and brush scripts and that, because it was blowing up and retro design was going backwards. And then he did the right thing, and he was like, no, I'm going to stay the course, and I'm going to keep going all in on retro, even though the world's kind of moving somewhere else. And he really capitalized because of that, because everyone followed the crowd and he stayed true to himself. And so he carved out that niche. And there's just a billion examples of that. And like you say, like Mike, like Foogstrader, he's got such a standout style. I love when people get that
personality
style, like where you could show their piece and you're like, yeah, that's him straight away. Same thing with Ian or with you as well, Scotty, or with
I'm getting there, man. I'll take that as a compliment, but I think
seriously.
I have the next level to go to.
It really is getting there though, because I'll see stuff on Instagram before I even see the name above it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Scotty's.
Fuck so, yeah, I want to do a spin around in my chair right now.
And that's a real powerful thing. Same with like Lisa Glanz, no one looks quite like her style, and that makes you so much more hireable because people hire you because they want that look and they can't get it anywhere else. Whereas if you're just like generic hand lettering that looks like 1,000 other designers, then they might as well just go with the cheapest option.
What are some other quick online building tips or engagement?
Yeah. So I kind of went on like a random tangent there, but
doesn't matter.
Yeah. But to be honest, like all of that stuff leads to engagement too. When you're different and disruptive and stand out, you will get more engagement. But for me, engagement really comes down to like that shift, right? So I alluded to this before. Everyone shouts into the void, especially in social media. And it is so busy. It's like they're shouting into a tornado. And a tornado, they know what that is.
I was like, is that how you guys say it over in the UK?
Yeah,
aluminium?
Oh, chap. I can assure you it's definitely not. So, imagine you're in this blizzard or this windstorm, and you're just trying to shout out there, and then your words get ripped away from you before you know it and just get lost in the wind. And that's how I kind of view social media. And for me, the best way to cut through all that noise and all the algorithms and all the bullshit is to build a community one person at a time. I think that is the most powerful thing. And like, that doesn't have to be sleazy. That doesn't have to be markety. Think of it as literally like making one friend at a time.
Yeah, that's exactly it is.
And you can go so much deeper with that. And it's amazingly powerful because I know people who have audiences of like, 250,000 people, and they might have, I don't know, like 30 5-star reviews on their podcast, for example. I got that on my tiny podcast with a tiny listenership pretty much overnight because I personally knew 30, 40, 50 people so well and so closely, and I was trying to give them so much value that they just did it in a heartbeat. And I'm there, like, for the record, I'm helping a lot of people with their Instagram and stuff. Like, I promise I know what I'm talking about with this, and we've done it with our company. But my personal Instagram, I've only just started taking that seriously more recently.
It's new.
Like the last few months. It's super new. So like, I'm just shy of 2,000 followers, but I don't care because I'm getting more engagement than people that have 100 times my following. And I freaking love it because I know those people. I know those people in my audience. And same thing when we had our hangout at Design Cut, Scotty, you had people in the comments where you were shouting them out and be like, that guy there, like, supports everything I do.
Yeah.
Those fans for life. And that's so much more rewarding than like, great, I got 2,000 love hearts on my post from strangers that I'm never going to.
Likes are a bad term of engagement, man. And to me, my biggest tip is it all goes down in the DMs, like Gary Vee says. Like, I have way more conversations with people DMing. I try to get back to everyone and making sure you get back to everyone.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
The DMs.
Yeah, and I'm working with a girl. She's got 1 million followers. She's in a different space, not even the creative space.
Mm-hmm.
She gets back to everyone that leaves a comment. She gets 400 comments a day. It's insane. But even if it's like a love heart or like a thank you, it doesn't need to be an essay. But you're completely right about the DMs. Like, when you get to know these people and you're not pitching them, people can see that shit a mile off, right? I hate it. That's like the LinkedIn approach. It's like, hi, sir. Like, how was your day? Like, I would like to bring you value. And then you respond and they're like, with my new sales mastery course. And it's like, just, fuck off, man. Like, it sucks. So for me, like, when you're giving and you're not asking for anything, you're just genuinely going in with like good intent, positive vibes, getting to know them the same way, right? We've gotten to know each other. I want to meet in person. I want to hang out and like have a beer and do all of that good stuff, right?
South, man, I'm gonna miss you there.
Wait, hold on. Are you going?
No, I'm not going.
You're not?
No, I'm missing my streak, man. I've been there 4 years in a row. I gotta miss it. So,
I understand. But like another time, right? And some of
without a doubt.
And I think people get scared. They're like, but if I'm just giving and giving and giving, like I'm going to be left with nothing and I'm not going to be able to sell them. It's like, no, like the best and strongest business relationships and partnerships I've had come on the back of these relationships where, you know, it's because you're actually friends with these people. There's people that I've known for a decade. And now if we want to do something, like, you know, we just jump on a call and be like, yeah, let's do this. And it's so easy and so seamless and so fun. It's like the opposite of cold calling. So when they're getting 100 emails a day being like, I want to partner with you in this way, they're like, no, I don't know you. But with the person that they've been buddies with for a decade, it's so easy and it's so mutually beneficial. And that for me is like how the world should work. You know?
Like, and trust.
Yeah, 100%. And so, yeah, I think that is huge. And you said like with the DMs, even with my tiny following or relatively tiny following on Instagram, I checked this morning and it gave me anxiety slightly, which it does at points. Like I love it.
It's like, you got to get back to everyone. Oh shit.
It's like I feel a bit burnt out. I've got like 45 DMs waiting for me. And not just that, but like videos from people and essays from people.
That's the hardest thing for me to respond back is like a video each time or audio each time. Cause I'm like at the day job or home with the baby. So if I text you back instead of responding to video or audio, just know there's a reason.
100%. So, I'll give you like a hack as well. Cause I think a lot of stuff we talked about today is kind of more holistic, like a shift in mindset. I love the tactical stuff too. So let's say I'm loving Instagram as a platform, right? So you go on Instagram and you do something where it's like a poll in your stories and it's around, I don't know, something cool that you're doing. So it could be like like you said, like who struggles with time on their creative side hustle. And the poll could be like, not me or like me 100%. And then a bunch of people are going to hit me 100%. And then you can just DM them and be like, oh, I'm sorry to hear you're struggling with that, man. Like, tell me a bit about it. I'd love to help. And then boom, you got like early stage relationship. You got a great avenue to start bringing them value, and you're going to get so much information from them and their story that maybe you can further down the line put that into this product that you're going to do, which is more scalable. And I love that because when you shout into the void, like I said before, if you did a post and said like, guys, like, you know, did a meme being like, who struggles with time? Like, sure, you might get some comments, but you got a big following. For a lot of people with smaller followings, it's just going to be crickets or like one or two things being like nice design or good post or something like that.
Dope.
With the poll, you get a lot of people clicking it because, you know, it's like low hanging fruit to engage. And it's essentially them putting their hand up and saying like, I give you permission to talk to me because they've made the first move.
Word, dude, that's beautiful. And I want to respect your time as well. That's gold. People listening, if you're complaining that you're not getting the engagement, there's a lot of things you can do. Okay. 1, stop complaining. 2, be accountable. 3, go make shit happen.
Yeah. Go have one-on-one conversations helping 50 people.
Get
and
out
then
of your
tell
comfort
me
zone.
Your engagement doesn't move.
Exactly.
And it will be so rewarding.
For sure. Let's pivot to rapid fire questions real quick. If you were on death row, what would your last slice of pizza be?
Oh man. I think something pretty meaty, like a meat feast or something.
A meat feast. We call it meat lovers over here.
Yeah.
A meat feast. I like that better, kind of. Maybe. I don't know. my brain also goes in other different directions. Not cool. All right. You could have one person. You could have lunch with one person, dead or alive. Who would it be and why?
Oh shit. Honestly, I would say possibly like one of my grandparents, because she raised me a bit like a second mum, but she died when I was pretty young, and I always wanted to know her as an adult.
Right on. Good answer. Damn.
It's not like Gandhi or something more profound, I'm afraid.
Not like or anything, but real quick, we failed to touch on this, but what's the Honest Designers podcast?
The Honest Designers podcast is myself, Ian Barnard, Dustin Lee, Lisa Glanz, who are far more talented than I am, and the 4 of us just shooting the shit every week and being incredibly transparent about like the ups and downs of being a designer.
Yep. We talk freelance, they talk pricing, audience building.
And we're going to have Scotty on because you'll be an awesome guest.
I love it. I'll go all out for you guys. I never not go all out, but cats or dogs?
Dogs.
All right. Do you have any dogs?
My girlfriend does, or her family do. We can't have them in our apartment building but I think we probably will, when we get a proper house.
All right. Well, last one. Where can people go to follow you online and support you?
So Design Cuts is my main hub, and like I promise, like if you come over there, like not only will you love what's on offer, but we will look after you and you have a great time. Outside of that, you mentioned the Honest Designers show we put out every week. Kind of got a theme going. I've got my personal show, the Honest Entrepreneur Show, which is like for creatives, but also general like entrepreneur marketing stuff and being super transparent and honest about all of that.
Everything we talked about today is what you go deep in your own personal content.
Super deep. And and then Instagram, I'm at Tom Ross Media. So in fact, little offer, because I love doing this shit for free. If you DM me and say that you heard me on Scotty's podcast, just DM me like any questions and I'll like give you free consultancy, like free advice. Guaranteed I'll get back to you with a video or something, just as a sign of appreciation for Scotty having me on.
Tom, thank you so much. And I've plugged you over the last couple episodes as I've been openly talking about this slow transition, this rebrand, this rebuild that I'm doing right now. It's taking me some time because all these life circumstances, but it's happening. So people, I've been here publicly stating on the record how much this dude has been helping me, how much he knows.
Oh, thank you, man.
How he loves to serve people like you. So take advantage of this. Tom, thank you so much for being here, laying it all out. No bullshit, all value. We appreciate the hell out of your time, brother.
Thanks so much. That was awesome.
Yeah, you crushed it today. We'll be in touch, all right?
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Talk soon.
PC family, there you have it. Tom Ross, CEO of Design Cuts. Tom, you absolutely crushed it today. If you're a listener and you're out there struggling with these concepts of building your brand, growing an audience, and getting more attention on your work, you're probably doing some of these things wrong. You're probably not engaging. You're probably not providing value. You're probably doing sleazy marketing tactics of putting your stuff out there, telling people to buy your shit. Stop doing that. Do what Tom says today. All right? Tom knows what he's talking about. And all of these things have helped me build my brand and build my business over the last 5 years. They work. And most importantly, you build some killer relationships out of it, which is most important. So if you found value in what Tom said today, do what you always do what you do best, and blow this dude up. Go shower him with love all over social media. Go listen to the Honest Designers podcast. Go listen to his content he creates on the Honest Entrepreneur Store. Go listen to the content that he creates on the Honest Entrepreneur Show. All right, got it right that time. As well as go support him and what he's building over at Design Cuts. I got a link in the bio that can save you some cheddar, okay, on design research for like Procreate, textures, images, templates, mockups, you name it. It's all there below in the link in the YouTube description. So, Tom, thank you again. We appreciate the hell out of you, brother, and I know I appreciate you with what you're doing to help me build my brand of Perspective Collective. Thanks, brother. And if you are desperately needing some type of community, you feel isolated on an island in the world of creation, then you need to go to the Perspective-Collective Facebook group, okay? Join the family. We got people all over the world creating, sharing their work, getting real-time feedback day and night, as well as sharing resources on freelancing, pricing, and collaborating all over the world. And we would love to have you be a part of the family. I only share it here on the podcast. So again, that's at the Perspective-Collective on Facebook. Join that shit right now. And if you're finding value in the podcast, okay, and it's helping you on your creative grind, there are two ways you can support the growth of the show. The first is by backing the show financially over at patreon.com/Perspective Podcast. And the second way is by subscribing and leaving a rating and review over an Apple Podcasts or iTunes, whatever platform you're on. And doing so not only helps the show climb the charts in the arts design category, but it allows me to give you some love as the listener of the week. And this week's listener of the week comes from Ezgi Platin from Turkey. They titled this one, My Inner Voice When I'm Inking. And they state, I love listening to the Perspective podcast as I'm inking my lettering work. There aren't many letterers around me, so this podcast is like my best friend and my inner voice combined. I listen to Scotty's advice, his guest words of wisdom, and then tell my friends about it in ways that they can relate to. We even have a drinking game now. Whenever I say, I heard this thing on the podcast, we drink up and I tell them of a new idea or a new way of thinking. Looking forward to all the new episodes. That's so dope. It's ones like that that make my day. And since you're in Turkey, I hope you're not having drinking games with wild turkey because that shit sucks. But I digress. Thank you so much for your time. And And as I wrap things up, I got to give a huge thank you to my executive assistant, Paige Garland, and my video specialist, Colton Bachar, and my homie, Nick Jenkins of Blookah for all the dope theme music you hear on this show. Thank you so much to all of you. You are the glue that makes this show happen. And as you finish off your week strong, I want to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and keep creating. You got this. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.